The next question is a voicemail question. You can leave your voicemail questions at 219-2-DAVID-P. Here it is.
Hey David, I had a question for you. I wonder where you and Louis worked previously. Just curious. Thank you.
All right, previous jobs. I've had some doozies. So my first ever job, which was actually the first job I think also that Lewis had, is we were contracted by a local council on aging in Massachusetts to teach elderly folks basic computer skills. They paid us $5 an hour cash. I believe that this was 1997 or 1996. I would get a ride from my mom to the appointments that I had. And that was my first job. Lewis, was that also your first job?
That was my first job. Yes, it was a very, very difficult job, but rewarding, I guess. And many of those people did not adhere to the $5 an hour rule, and they would give you significantly more money.
I did not have any of those customers, I think I can say with certitude. Subsequently, I worked at a laser tag and skating rink facility. Later went on to do electronic sales at Circuit City, the now defunct retailer. I was a commissioned salesperson. It was actually a pretty fun job, made some good friends there, and I really did enjoy it. I think what I enjoyed about it was that you could really, I don't really do well in kind of like we come in at 9:15 and this is exactly how you do the job and you have to do your TPS reports or whatever other such stereotypes exist. And that job, even though it was a job working with a set schedule with a manager, however you do sales within certain broad parameters, whatever works for you, that's your strategy. And I think I like that, Lewis.
All right. And I mean, well, what else what other jobs would you like to add to the list here?
I once worked for a marketing company that worked with companies like Comcast and Hewlett Packard, et cetera. My job was to drive around to different retail stores and make sure that all of their products were properly displayed. It was insanely mind-numbing. And I worked for a summer during college at a company that does custom, you know those uniforms that ski teams and bicycling teams wear? I was essentially selling those custom uniforms. So I would call up like a high school ski team or a bike team or whatever and try to get them to order uniforms. I lasted, I think it was 5 weeks. It was absolutely insane. And while I was there, I was already doing my radio show early on. This is before Lewis was even on the show. And I realized that the company was owned. It was a relatively small company, maybe 40, 50 employees. It was owned by insane right-wing nuts. And that was just like, what am I doing here? I need to get out of here. So that's basically been the extent of my jobs.
Okay. I, for a while, worked at a supermarket.
Right.
A big supermarket chain up in the area where we are from in the produce department. And that was, it was fine. I mean, I can't say I enjoyed it, but yeah, I mean, I guess I learned a lot about that type of business, that industry, and certainly a lot about produce. Let's see. For a while, for a long time, I was a bartender. I think a lot of people already knew that. And at different restaurants, bars. For a short while, I was a videographer, where I was basically a one-man crew who would go to a location, set up the cameras, the lights, the audio, and then film a subject. It was basically just instructional videos on any number of compelling topics. And that was not an easy job. Long hours, lots of driving, but yeah, good experience. And of course, now there's this, and I downgraded from being a bartender to just being a doorman here in Texas, which of course does not pay nearly as well, but it's about a billion times easier. Usually.
And oftentimes, Lewis, for you, the path of least resistance is the preferable path.
That is true. That is true. I find that life is a lot less stressful that way. But certainly, the path of least resistance is not always the best path to take.
I also had a few internships, one as a financial advisor. I realized that is not an industry I want to be involved in, and a few other things, but that's more or less the gist. So hopefully that satisfies the curiosity.